In this session, we're sort of going to be setting the stage of what we're going to be talking about for the first half of the day, right? So everything from what we at Zoho feel every business should be able to adopt from a marketing perspective, and how we think that should be rolled out from a digital standpoint as well. And we'll get into some of the useful products that we already offer, but whether or not you end up using a Zoho product, we kind of have this thought process that we like to go through when we're marketing ourselves, or we picture a business in any regard, marketing from a digital perspective. So if we think about it, there's several different marketing channels that any business can potentially adopt. And these are just some of those listed up on the screen here. So everything from having a digital presence on your website to social media and so on and so forth, even a little bit of outbound stuff here as well. This is kind of the lay of the land of how people traditionally market. There are some other things here that we haven't put up on the screen, things like word of mouth or referrals and things like that. But main takeaway here is that we want to be able to sort of take it to the next level and be able to establish that. So I want to start with one question that I want everybody to ask themselves, which is basically what needs to happen for your business to succeed in this day and age, right? So when we think about from a digital marketing perspective, there's probably a few questions or a few answers to this question that come to mind. Maybe a marketing expert, someone that you can rely on to be able to provide all the knowledge that you might not have yourself. Maybe a dedicated team of people that can do some of the grunt work on the marketing side so you don't have to deal with it. Or maybe just how Google Ads works in general, right? Something as complicated as GA would be helpful if it was easier to understand, right? But there's one thing that I want to say is that we want to go ahead and take a step back from some of these specific answers, right? We want to rewind a little bit and say that at the end of the day, the main answer to this question and simple answer is people need to be talking about you, right? If we really take it from a simple perspective, this is the most necessary thing, and that's how we feel at Zoho. And of course, that doesn't really even mean from a digital perspective, just marketing in general, right? If people are talking about you, whether it be to each other or to other businesses, or just having some way to keep them on your mind, right? That's really what we're trying to get at. So how do we attack this answer from a digital perspective? So we've laid out at Zoho basically 6 different things that we think every business should be able to adopt. And the first one is, of course, having that digital foundation. Now, this is probably an obvious one, just having that web presence online. But not only should your website or your web presence have the products that you're offering or the services, but really what your overall brand is, what your messaging is, how you stand out amongst your competition, right? What actual message are you trying to get across when people discover who you are and what you offer? The next thing after having that foundation is to drive people to discover you in the first place, right? And we're going to talk about a few different ways that Zoho has to offer that and sort of set the stage for each and every presentation that we're going to be covering in the rest of the day today, and how we could spread that out. And of course, this doesn't necessarily have to be a Zoho product either. And I want to make that known because, of course, we try to offer these solutions ourselves, but we want to make it as open as possible so that other applications or other things that you might be using already would be brought in. So driving that traffic so people can discover you. The next thing is engaging with that traffic that does come to your site or to your web foundation. And so when we talk about engagement, there's various ways to do so, some from a Zoho perspective, which we'll get into. And then as we get people to come to your presence and we get that traffic to be engaged, what exactly do we want them to accomplish on the site? And this could be various examples. It doesn't necessarily have to be, they spend some money immediately. This could be a series of things. Maybe there's a nurturing process that you would like for people to go through so that they become a little bit more of a following. Once we get those goals established and that call to action, then we're thinking about tracking and optimizing people to become whatever we want them to become. So converting them from just someone who discovers us to someone who engages with us later on after that initial discovery. And we're going to talk about how we can refine that from your digital foundation. And then the last thing here is after we get this goal established, we analyze which methodologies we want for people to accomplish when they discover us. The last thing is to automate certain functions. So you yourself as a business owner or a marketing person at your company does not have to go back and forth all the time and be able to go back and make changes. We want to be able to have a way to automate certain functions that we would want our leads or people discovering our site to go through, and then refine that at a certain point and make it repeatable. So that's kind of what we've laid down as the 6 necessary steps to really have an effective digital marketing presence and make it worthwhile. So let's talk first about the digital presence itself. So this icon here, if anyone recognizes it, is Zoho Sites. I'm sure 95, maybe even 100% of you already have a website set up. So that's not to say that you have to use Zoho Sites to engage from a digital marketing perspective. However, I would like to say that Zoho Sites, just in my personal experience, I've utilized WordPress before, I've utilized Wix, Squarespace, a few other ones out there when I was doing my own thing before joining Zoho. While it is extremely, extremely simple to use, it is also one of the more functional ones that I've seen in my experience. So I would say if you haven't already set up a website, definitely check it out. It also has connections to some of the other Zoho apps that you might end up using as well. So it makes it a lot easier to implement certain things. So the first thing, of course, is building out that site and getting not only your product or service offering, but also the content and the messaging that you want to deliver to someone that does discover you. Okay? So what is your brand? What are you trying to convey? And how are you going to be standing out amongst your competition? And the next thing is going to be driving traffic. Now, there's a few ways that we adopt this within Zoho, and we're going to be talking about a few other ways that a lot of people end up using just in the market. But the first and probably one of the more important ones in this day and age is going to be social media, of course, right? And so with things like Instagram, Facebook, so on and so forth, we need to be able to consolidate every single thing that we branch out to within these social media networks. So when we talk about having pages and a presence set up on these sites, then we're talking about a way to consolidate all of that. And so with Zoho Social, we're actually going to have a presentation on this a little bit later as well, where we can actually monitor what's going on across these social media pages, so across your networks. Also track what's just going on publicly, so trending hashtags, for example, and then also be able to post throughout these social networks in one fell swoop. So without having to go and log into each different app and try to figure it out, this will consolidate all that for you so that you can have a consistent message across all of your platforms that are scheduled and automated around the same time. And then, of course, tracking that engagement thereafter. So as you make those posts, seeing how many people are viewing that post, how many people are retweeting or liking it, sharing it again. So being able to track that engagement on the social media side of things is also making posts that include a direct way to come and discover you. So one of the things that Zoho Social does, and we're going to get into this in the presentation, is whenever you want people to be directed to your site, for example, you have some type of message and then you want to direct people, this will automatically generate that link for you, a short link, so that it makes it easy and effective for people to just click wherever you want them to go to. So a specific landing page, for example. Other ways that we think of outside of the normal social media networks is also establishing a presence through the web itself, through some of the things that you see on the bottom row. So we're talking about Google Ads, analytics, tag manager as well, Google My Business. Some of the things that people end up using to establish their presence so that it's easy for anybody who's using a search engine to be able to discover you as well. And then what's more important here, especially on both rows actually, is tracking where people are coming from directly. And so we're going to get into that in a second with one of the other bullet points. Want to make sure you have that in your heads, is tracking where each and every one of these things are coming from. Next thing, engaging. So as people go to your site and they spend a little bit of time, they go through various pages, they scroll a bit, they do a couple of actions, we probably at that point see that they're interested, right? We maybe assign some type of value to that person whenever they meet a certain criteria, and we want to go ahead and shoot them something. So that's where Sales IQ, our visitor tracking and live chat tool, comes into play. So one of the things that Sales IQ has a really, really awesome ability to do is, as they meet certain conditions, as they go to a page, as they spend some time, then you can automatically have a message popped up on their screen of contextual things that you'd want them to be able to know about. So let's just say they're on the pricing page of your website for 5 minutes. Being able to say, hey, if there's any clarification that you need on pricing, feel free to let me know, and then they can reply to that message. It can go over to a live agent to start having a conversation with them. Taking it a step further, we can also now, with Sales IQ, create bots. So you don't even have to have a live agent actually do that work for you. You can have a bot, have that outbound message, have a conversation with them. And if it does get a little bit more complex and subjective, then of course you can transfer it over to a live agent. But the bot can do that simple lead generation where it's capturing some of that data, such as name, email address, phone, what they're interested in. So key takeaway here is that we have the ability to engage with the visitor to help them do what we would want them to do. And what exactly is that do what we want them to do? That's where we come into a call to action or a goal that we have set for that visitor, okay? And that could be a number of different things. We would want them to purchase immediately online. Let's just say you're an e-commerce business and you have a shopping cart already set up. So you'd want them to purchase something immediately. Sometimes you might not want to do that, but you want to keep them engaged. So having them sign up for potentially a newsletter or an email campaign. Then there also comes in maybe a contact us form, or maybe you'd want them to request a quote, so that you can take a look at what they're looking for and send something back to them. There's also ability to maybe have them sign up for a webinar so that you can engage with them a little bit more, maybe have some thought processing and also some content marketing assigned with it. Or maybe you'd want them to attend an event that you have scheduled, something like this, for example. So all these different things would require, a point of entry for you to have them engaged. So that's where some of our Zoho products will come into play and be able to do that. So with commerce specifically, you'd have the ability of using Zoho sites and extending that a little bit further to actually set up products on your sites and have people purchase online. Now, the thing about this is, of course, you might already have a shopping cart system set up. So again, that's totally fine, and we'll get into why or how you can effectively use it with something that you already have set up. But at the end of the day, this is an easy-to-use builder, and it'll connect to the back office side of things so that you can manage your inventory extremely easily. But key takeaway here is, as we get them to discover you, as we get them to engage, what do we want them to accomplish? And this might be one of those things, is easily purchase something online. Next thing, we might want them to sign up for a newsletter so that we keep on engaging with them even after that first discovery, right? And that's where Zoho campaigns can come in and actually accept that information, and so that we can put them into an email drip. We can have them, go through sort of a drip campaign where they get a series of emails over the course of some time. Next thing, we maybe want them to fill out some information so that we can engage with them later. And that's where Zoho Forms comes in, where we can actually use a drag and drop builder to fill out exactly what they would want to, or they would need to send to us so that we can effectively sell to them afterwards, right? And Zoho Forms is pretty dynamic as well. You can embed it on your current site as well. And you can make it so that you could accept payments online if you'd want to. And if you needed to maybe have like a request for quote builder, you can use this to generate that. And that, of course, integrates back with the CRM to capture that data, or any of the other systems like campaigns and so on and so forth. One other thing that we can do is use Zoho Meetings webinar tool to actually have people sign up online to a webinar that you have scheduled. And so this will allow us to engage with people in a more effective way to really get them hooked on what service or product that you're offering as well. And you can schedule those through the platform here, and then share that link for people to sign up online on your site. Last thing is going to be event management. You can use Zoho Backstage, which is our event management tool. We're actually using Backstage, of course, to run this event. And you can have that shared online as well, so that people can sign up. You can have them purchase tickets, whether it be a paid event or a free event. That's okay too. To have maybe sort of a lead gen approach or a method. You can utilize this to manage that and get people hooked on what you're offering or what service you're providing. And then once we establish what those call to actions are going to be, whether it be purchasing immediately, having them engage with us at a later time, we want to be able to track how those conversions work. Because at the end of the day, not every single person that comes to the site is actually going to leave with something that you'd want to achieve, right? There's probably initially going to be a very low percentage of people. So we want to be able to track what our website is doing correctly, what our website is doing incorrectly, or what we would not want them to do. And so we can utilize Zoho PageSense to accommodate for that. So I have a couple of screenshots here, and we're going to have some more information on this later. But essentially, what PageSense can do is analyze how people are engaging with your site. So on top of Sales IQ that can do the direct engagement with the visitor, PageSense aggregates every single visitor that's on your site and then sees where they're clicking, see where they're scrolling, how much time that they spent. It even does session recording, and you can even see a distribution of what type of devices are going to be are going to your sites, what the distribution of that is. There's also what we call as format analytics. And so this will kind of give us a distribution of how many people visited your site to going to your form, filling it out maybe halfway through, and then dropping off. So field by field, it can even analyze how far people go before they say, you know what, never mind. And then be able to capture maybe what you need to do to retroactively solve that problem. And one of those things could be what we call A/B testing. So you can use PageSense sort of as a layer on top of your website. So you can use PageSense to essentially change different colors of certain buttons on your page, or change the verbiage of certain things, and see if that effectively changes how conversions take place. Okay? And it even, of course, integrates back over to the Google side of things. So if we wanted to integrate analytics, Tag Manager, a few other ones out there, Google AdWords, this will effectively be able to track where people are coming from as well. And so that'll give us the ability to aggregate where people are coming from. We know which traffic driver of sorts is actually giving us the most visitors to the site. And so we can utilize that to augment where people are coming from and be able to adopt that a little bit deeper. One last thing that I'd like to say about PageSense is that it does funnel analytics too. So if we want to track a certain goal for people to achieve, we can use PageSense to build what that goal is, and then see what the drop-off is between each and every step. So going from your home page to your pricing page to signing up and purchasing, for example, we could see the drop-off in the distribution, so we know how to act on top of that. What we can do effectively on the page to be able to make those changes. And then last thing, or couple of last things, are going to be nurturing. So after we get their information from that call to action that we've established, right, where we either have them purchase or if we have them sign up for a newsletter, is the nurturing side. And that's where Zoho Campaigns comes in to be able to establish a series of emails that get sent out, track the engagement of those emails as well. So this will allow us to have that drip campaign of different emails that we would want them to receive as we get their information and want to continue that process of establishing what we would want them to see and know about our brand. Now on to the most exciting part, which is Zoho Marketing Hub. So as we know what we would want as a business to be able to express to our customers or to our potential customers. What are we going to do, and how are we going to make this automated? That's where Zoho Marketing Hub comes in. And so one of the best features about this product is the ability to create a journey for a specific set of individuals. So whether it be for example, a list of new leads that have come to your site and spent this amount of time, or if they're people that were customers of yours and they left for some reason and you'd want to reach out to them and hope they sign up again. Creating those drips based on specific people as they engage with you in certain ways, then splitting up what exactly that's going to be. This will allow us to effectively transition people to the right area and have a direct call to action made even after they've gone through the initial impression of who you are. It also does effective lead scoring as well. So, at that point, we can track certain metrics or certain things that we would want them to accomplish and add point values to those individuals. And even at that point, if anyone's using the CRM, as we have them achieve a certain point value, then we can, mark this as an MQL, a marketing qualified lead, and then push it immediately to the CRM so that a sales rep knows exactly what they've gotten and knows someone that's interested and has engaged with us along the way. There's even ways to connect with other advertisement campaigns that you might end up using. And then really at the end of the day, it's all about making sure that your marketing spend versus how many impressions and clicks and conversions that you have leads into your sales for an effective funnel. And that's where Marketing Hub has the features, and then Zoho Analytics, which is, of course, our business intelligence platform, can come in and allow you to do a little bit more effective reporting. And so within Marketing Hub, there's a few pre-built and automated reports that you guys can take a look at to be able to see where people are coming from, how we rate them, and then where we want them to go next. And then also a distribution of how our reach has been between an email to social media and so on and so forth. And then in Zoho Analytics, being able to create custom funnels, dashboards, charts and graphs, KPIs, widgets, to be able to see exactly what things that we would want to target. So it takes all that data that we've seen on the marketing side from anywhere from survey, CRM, campaigns, Sales IQ, all these other effective tools on the marketing side, and being able to aggregate that data and push it a little bit further. And so there's quite a few ways that we end up doing that, as you can see from the screen here. So again, at the end of the day, it's really going back to these 6 things: having that digital foundation and presence, driving traffic from all these different ways, whether it be social media, Google Ads, or having that digital presence on a search engine, engaging with them as they discover you, having a call to action or a goal that we would want them to have in that initial discovery, and then also tracking and optimizing that conversion so that we know where they need to go next, and automating that process so that we can refine it and know what reports or what KPIs that we need to be able to refine that over and over again. So with that, I want to say thank you.